Have you ever really wondered how a song is born? Does it start with a cool melody on a guitar, or maybe a beat on a drum machine? Well, today we're going to dive deep into the really unique and honestly super intuitive songwriting philosophy of Rodney Josephson. He makes the case that for him, a song isn't born from an instrument at all, but from somewhere else entirely. So take a look at this whiteboard. This is basically the roadmap. The big idea, right there in the middle, is that music isn't something you construct. It's something that flows. It's a process that puts emotion and whatever's happening in the present moment above everything else. And it kind of flips the script on how we usually think about creating. So, how does a method like this actually work? Well, it all kicks off with this core concept he calls flow, and that's the engine that drives his entire creative process.
And what he means by flow is pretty interesting. It's not about being a technical wizard on an instrument. It's about getting into a state where you can just grab a feeling. The mood, the moment, and distill it down into a single track. So every song becomes this little snapshot of an emotion.
And you can hear it in his own words. He sees a song as just one little piece of a much bigger emotional experience. The music, the lyrics, the beat, they're all just the tools he uses to bring that fragment of feeling out into the world. Okay, so that's the big idea. But how does this actually work in practice? How do you really turn a raw feeling into a complete song? Well, his workflow breaks it all down. Okay, so here's the key difference. He points out that a lot of artists he knows, they start with an instrument, right? They find a melody or some chords they like, and then they add the lyrics later. His method completely flips that around. It all starts with a sudden emotional rush, an inspiration that just has to be written down first.
And this whole process unfolds in 4 key stages. It all begins with that raw emotional state. From there, it's all about expression, just getting those internal feelings out. Once they're out, imagination steps in to build a scene or a story around them. And only at the very end, only then, does he decide on the final theme and genre. Like, is this thing going to be a dance track, a ballad, or maybe even a rap song?
And this right here, this just brilliantly shows the speed of his intuition. The core of a song, the lyrics, the structure, that stuff often comes together in just a matter of minutes. But the technical side of things, the production and the official release, well, that's a much slower, more deliberate process that can take weeks or even months.
So this brings us to the philosophical heart of his whole approach. If the music is coming from emotion, then what is it really all about? The answer, it turns out, is deeply personal. And this is the crucial point. At the end of the day, his songwriting is a form of self-reflection. Even if a song gets triggered by something happening outside of him, he sees it as a mirror to his own internal state. The lyrics are always, in some way, about himself. And this kind of self-reflection leads him to question the music that other people make. He poses this question after noticing artists whose lyrics just seem to send these really contradictory messages. He really believes that what you say in a song matters. Why? Because music basically acts like a programming tool. Think about it. Just like a catchy advertising jingle gets stuck in your head, the messages in songs, especially when you listen to them over and over, can actually shape your thoughts and even your behavior. Okay, so we've covered a lot of the theory. Let's actually look at the music this process has created, from some specific songs to the full scope of his work. So let's check out his track, Can't Sleep. It's a perfect example of how he can transform a really common internal feeling, insomnia, into a very specific musical genre. He chose EDM specifically to capture that anxious, energetic feeling of restlessness. The theme is all about that internal search for truth that you might have during a sleepless night. And the music actually builds from a slow start to a really fast tempo, which perfectly mirrors that mental turbulence. And these lyrics, they give you a direct window right into that emotional core. It's a literal description of the feeling that sparked the entire song in the first place. All right, next up we have a completely different track called Brotherhood, which was inspired not by an internal feeling, but by a real-life observation he made. For this one, he turned to rap to deliver some pretty sharp social commentary. The theme explores the duality of faith and commerce, and it was inspired by a man he met in Las Vegas who was, get this, a preacher by day and a weed dealer by night. This lyric just captures that central conflict so perfectly. It's a sharp, direct piece of storytelling that turns an observation of the outer world into a reflection on its internal contradictions. So, you might be wondering, how productive has this intuitive process actually been? Well, he's officially released 37 tracks across several albums, which is a pretty solid testament to the consistency of his method.
And those 37 tracks add up to a full 90 minutes of music. That's a really substantial body of work, and all of it was born from just capturing these fleeting moments of emotion and reflection.
So, what's the ultimate takeaway from all of this? Well, the conclusion isn't just about his story. It's really an encouraging message for everyone out there.
This is his core belief, and it's his call to action. He really emphasizes that you don't have to be a technical master or the world's best singer. The most important part is just having something to express and having the courage to share it.
And that leaves us with a final question. If you follow this model, creativity isn't about waiting around for technical perfection. It's about listening to your own emotional flow. So the question is, what inner world are you ready to bring to the stage?